And welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is Giannis Janaeus. This is our preview of the upcoming match at Craven Cottage against West Bromwich Albion. This should be a great match on Saturday. We're going to preview it. I look forward to talking to Giannis all about that. And a bonus topic we're going to have on this show. I want to get Giannis's thoughts on the increasing basketball picks on corners that Fulham are using. I want to get his view on the picks. Are they legal? Are they illegal? What are his thoughts on that? Okay, let's not waste any time. Mr. Janaeus, how you doing? You looking forward to doing the show?
I am, sir. It's been a busy week here in a busy school, and as you can see, I've got bears accompanying me behind that are keeping an eye on me.
Okay, excellent, good stuff. All right, Giannis. As I mentioned, we will spend the majority of the time talking about the big match with West Brom, but I have to talk to you about your thoughts on Fulham's tactics on corners. Now, this isn't by accident. They've been practicing this. I noticed it against Hull City. I also noticed it against Birmingham City, but I want to say, have probably been doing it pretty much all the time when they have a chance on corners. They have special plays that they're running, and they are actually running basketball picks to get players open. So I want to get your thoughts on what's been going on with it. And is this obstruction, Giannis? I'm curious your view. I listened to the Fulhamish podcast, and Peter Russell said that he had talked with some officials, and he said basically it is obstruction. But the Fulham players are doing such a good job of not making it look like it's obstruction, meaning that it looks like it's incidental. But they are blocking the pathway. So I'm curious your view on this. I think that you should do what you can within the rules. Is this within the rules, my friend? I'm curious your views.
I think it is. I mean, if teams want to stop whining about tactics we use at corners, they should stop giving away corners. Right? Firstly,
exactly.
Secondly, if you look at corner kicks, just in isolation, and whether you're defending or you're attacking, and the number of shirt pulling and grappling and standing on each other's boots and what have you, there is so much obstruction. You could probably call 15 free kicks one way and 20 penalties the other. It happens at every single corner. So I find it really rather daft that teams do this, and yet they're going to moan about something that's considered to be a pick. It's silly stuff. I think it's just gamesmanship, trying to alert officials ahead of time about things that happen, and I think it's unfair. During the game, things happen. The first goal against Nottingham Forest was criticised because of supposed picks in the box. But how about the notion that when the ball came across, Mitro was left virtually unmarked to make the run inside to do the flick that led to the own goal? That had nothing to do with it. So I think it's all handbags. I think teams need to shut up. I think they need to not give away corner kicks, and they need to do a better job in terms of defending them instead of moaning about it.
Exactly. It's funny that you say it that way because, like I said, I was listening to the Fulhamish podcast, and I believe that Cooper was complaining to the refs before the game, warning them. And the big question is, well, again, on the Fulhamish podcast, I brought up this topic. Did he warn his own players? Did he warn his own players about this? Were they prepared for this? Because, again, you can complain all you want. And the way that I look at it, and this happens in all sports, Giannis, you play how things are being played, meaning that you do business how business is being done. If they're allowing it, then you continue to do it until someone stops you from doing it within the rules. I don't, and again, we can argue, is it within the rules? Like I said, some think it is, some don't, but it's an interesting thing. But again, if you really are concerned about it like Cooper was, tell your team to stop it.
I mean, yeah, and it's, look, there's so much activity when you're defending attacking corner kicks. We know that. And, referees don't have a tendency to give penalties from corners unless it's extremely egregious. They're more liable to give free kicks going the other way, especially if it's considered impeding the goalkeeper.
Right.
But I mean, it's. It's stupid handbags. If you, instead of moaning about picks, just defend better. The ball, there's still only one ball. The ball's in the air. You know what it's going to do. You pick up the man and you act accordingly. I think it's just a little bit of. I think it's just gamesmanship trying to get the officials before ahead of the game. And if you look at the footage of the first goal, there were four Nottingham Forest defenders running after the ref, but there were two. If you look at the footage, there were two, including Lewis Grabban, just shrugging his shoulders, going, "I don't know what happened." So it's no, I think it's just I think it's daft, and the refs have enough on their plate without picks. No, teams that complain about picks have never watched a basketball game.
Exactly, Giannis. It's funny because the way it is in basketball, it's part of the game. I used to throw picks all the time as long as I stayed my ground. It wasn't what we would call a moving pick. A moving pick
Right.
was against the rules. As long as you stood your ground, you were okay. And I just find this interesting. Listen, if they have found something that works and it's within the rules and the referees aren't calling it, then you continue to do it.
Absolutely.
I think this is different, Giannis, than my issue with diving. Would you agree with that? Because I think that is outright cheating in my book. This is a little bit different because I think that, again, if it's within the play and, again, they're not calling it. And this is something that, again, like you said, this goes on in the course of a match and they found something that works. I don't see this as cheating, Giannis. It sounds like you don't either.
No, I don't. And it's good that you raised the point about diving because I'm getting a little bored with admonishing, with challenges and making them worse or diving. I've got a theory about that, and unfortunately, we've seen Fulham players do it. I actually think it should be a straight red. I do. I think it's blatant.
I hate it, Giannis. You know I hate it.
Yeah, it's cheating. You don't do it. It's not in the spirit of the game. You've trying to get an advantage is one thing, but deliberately diving or faking an injury or all that sort of stuff. There are certain things that I'd love to see brought into the game, and that's one of them. Just you dive, and it's seen that you've dived, straight red. You've attempted to cheat the referee and cheat the officials into gaining an advantage for your team, and you've done it through deceptive means, and so you've cheated doing it. So off you go. There's the red.
Okay, excellent stuff. And as we've done on this show, we've been critical of people diving, including Fulham players. We have called them out as well.
Yeah.
It's not just about the other team. It's about Fulham players. I do not like when Fulham players dive. It drives me crazy, and I've called it out on this show. And we'll continue to do that because I do find that cheating. And I'm glad that we're being honest about that. We can wear our Fulham hats, but we can also see the difference between right and wrong. And I think that diving is cheating. And I'm glad that you have mentioned straight red. I'm there with you, my friend. I'm totally there with you. I don't think that I'll ever come to that, but they need to really get this under control because it continues to go on, and we'll see what happens with the diving. Okay, let's move on, my friend. Let's get your opening thoughts on West Brom. Before I do, I'm going to share some quotes from the press conference with Marco Silva, sharing his thoughts on West Brom, and I'll share those now, and then I will get your thoughts on West Brom. So this is what Marco Silva had to share today in his presser. Silva stated, quote, "They are a physical team and they challenge from every aspect of the game, including throw-ins and corners. Their attackers are quick and they are strong." Okay. Their midfielders like to press and are strong in their moments as well. Okay, Giannis, let's get to it. Give me your opening thoughts on West Brom. I've heard a lot this week about their long throws that Fulham need to be prepared for it. Now, similar to us talking about the corner situation for other teams, Fulham need to be prepared for the long throws. There is no reason for them not to be prepared for this. If they give up a goal from a long throw, that's on them because they have to be ready for this. This is who you're playing against, but this is also a very good side. I've watched West Brom several times. I want to get your thoughts on West Brom.
They are. I agree. They are a very good side. I like Valerian Ismail as a coach. I mean, mind you, anything was better than the dross and the slurry that Sam Allardyce served up last year. But I remember the first game of the season they played down at the Vitality against Bournemouth and finished 1-1, and they were the better side. In that game, I thought they were unlucky not to win. They've got arguably the best goalkeeper in the division in Johnston.
Yep.
And you talked about the long throws. I'll tell you, when England played Andorra a couple of weeks ago, Jack Grealish's first goal for England stemmed from Johnston's absolutely brilliant throw out that completely had the Andorran back four off guard. And it was a super goal, but it really was as an assist. It goes to Johnston because it was really well set up, and we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I really like their lineup. I think they're a good side. I actually think they're a better side than Bournemouth.
I agree.
But they've just come up against teams like Stoke City. I watched the Stoke City game. They played okay. Stoke, difficult to play the Britannia, but you've got players like Ajayi and Bartley at the back who are very good at set pieces. Obviously, I mentioned Johnston. Snodgrass has got a lot of experience. If they play him with Malumbi, that's going to be a good test for our midfield. Up front, if, as I think they're going to play the 3-4-3, and you have Phillips, Hugill, and Grant up front,
yep,
they're going to give us some tests. And their bench, when you got someone like Dean Garner coming off the bench, you've definitely got quality. They've come off the back of a good win over Bristol City last week. And Ishmael's I like his character. He's spunky. He's not everybody's cup of tea. But I think it's going to be a very difficult game. And it's going to be probably a sellout. And it'll be a very good test for us against a team that will physically try and match up with us. And we're going to have to be alive to set pieces in particular. I think corner kicks could be a danger. As the Johnson's throwouts, their long throw-ins, and they will fight for every ball. They're a very, very hard-working side. So it's going to be a good challenge.
Okay. And that's good that you say that, Giannis, because you have to be switched on at all times because they're going to be taking advantage of any opportunity they get. And we're talking about how Fulham are going to as well. I'm going to share this from Steve Reynolds. I want to get your thoughts on this. Is wasting 30 seconds for every long throw, is that bending the rules with regards to time wasting?
Well, you could argue that. There was I'm just trying to think of the game recently. No, it was Switzerland. That's right. It was Switzerland against Northern Ireland, where Northern Ireland got a red card in injury time in the first half because the ref deemed that the player was time wasting. The problem is this: if we go a goal up on West Brom, they're chasing the game. Throw-ins won't take 30 seconds; they'll take 10 to 15. Secondly, does it really serve their purpose to slow the game down? Well, I mean, if you take 30 seconds to take a throw-in, it gives us 30 seconds to get ready. I mean, it works both ways. It gives us a little bit more time to get prepped. Teams that do things quickly are always a problem. West Brom are a deliberate side in terms of their approach play, but having said that, again, anything's better than the dross that they served up last year. West Brom were just so ugly to watch, and Allardyce and the rest of the dinosaurs have gone the way of the dodo. And Ishmael's a good young coach who is passionate, and I like their team. I think we're a better side than them, but I do like their team, and I think this is going to be a difficult game. And as I said, if that's the way they approach it in 30 seconds for throw-ins, then I suppose we have to deal with it.
Okay, excellent. You've already mentioned a little bit about the West Brom manager, but let's talk about the players. You talked a little bit about them. In particular, which players do you think Fulham really need to concentrate on for West Brom?
I think the strikers. I think all three of them are, if he sticks with, if Phillips, Hugill, and Grant, they're all good strikers, but Dean Garner's, could easily start tomorrow, and they've got pace, and they're very hardworking. So our back four will be working hard tomorrow. They will be working hard tomorrow, and they'll need to be very, very careful not to be susceptible to the break, because West Brom have the ability to hit you on the break, and their strikers. I happen to think their strike force is better than Bournemouth's. So respect where it's due, and I'm sure that Silver has said you're going to have to watch these guys.
Right.
There's good experience there, and they're a good side. I mean, they're
They
a
are.
good quality side, and I think from what I've seen so far this year, they're probably going to deserve to be one of the three that goes up. I happen to think that Coventry game was an aberration. I really do. I don't think Coventry are that good. I think they caught us in a bad half, in atrocious conditions. It's just one of those things. Um, I think the cream rises to the top of the end, and I think West Brom are going to be one of those sides. And the strikers I think are going to going to ask some questions about back four.
Okay, excellent, Giannis. Okay, coming up next, we switch to talking about Fulham as we preview this match, and we'll end with our predictions for the match. Okay, my friend, before we really talk about key players for Fulham and how Fulham can win this match on Saturday, we do have some news from the presser, and this is encouraging news. I don't know how much he's going to be involved, but he is eligible to play based on what I've heard from on Twitter about Fabio Carvalho.
Yeah.
Will he play? I don't know, but it sounds like he potentially could be involved. This is huge news, my friend. What are your thoughts on Carvalho and also the drama behind the scenes? Because we have this situation that continues to go on. He changed agents. We've talked about this several times, and it's concerning. Can we just put that aside when it comes to watching the matches and just say, you know what, just let him play? And, again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but what are your thoughts of Carvalho's potential return and what it can mean?
Well, he's been gone for 9 games, and since then we've heard, it sounds a bit Harvey Elliott-ish, but, that he may be in the process of being turned because he's 18 and he's considered a young stud, and his performances have been very good. And it's interesting because he's in direct competition with a 31-year-old in Tom Kearney.
Right.
I'm excited to see him back, but Marco Silva's had a very deliberate pattern of dealing with injuries and reintegrating them back into the lineup. And he's certainly been rather cautious in terms of the amount of time they train before they integrate or reintegrate back into the squad. So case in point, Tom Kearney, I think it was first game or two, didn't start. He's obviously trained very hard. Then he decided they brought him on as a sub, and then he starts a full game. The same thing, I think, with Kenny Tete. Kenny Tete, I expect to start tomorrow.
I do too.
Denny Odwazden, I know some fans have been, pretty critical. I think Odwazden done a really solid job. I think Tete comes in, and I think Carvalho will be in the squad tomorrow, but he won't play a minute. I think this will be. I think he will having him as part of the reintegration, being part of the setup. And I think that if things go according to plan, I don't think there's any point breaking the pattern that he's established as a coach, whereby he sits him on the bench and maybe gives him a practice or two more before he reintegrates into playing into the 11, or at least start as a sub. So it's nice for Carvalho, and I think he's going to be part of the squad tomorrow. But I'll be surprised if he plays a minute tomorrow. I don't believe he will. Kearney's in there now. He's played a full game against Forest. I think seeing as Harrison Reed is now back and Seri is obviously available, we sort of know the three in the middle, and it won't be Carvalho. And as for the distractions about contracts,
right.
There's not. Again, end of the day, if you don't want to play for Fulham, leave. There's nothing to suggest he's going to leave, but
we don't know.
Yeah, and we've seen what's happened with Ryan Sessegnon and what a train wreck that turned out to be. The poor lad is still injured, and really, what an awful situation. But then again, he chose to leave. Nobody put a gun to his head. He decided he was going to go to Tottenham, and we know how that's worked out. So Carvalho, it's great to have him back in the setup, part of the squad. But I don't think he'll get any playing time. And I think our next game, isn't it, Blackburn on Wednesday?
Yes.
Then he'll probably be on. My prediction is he's going to be in the squad on Wednesday, and he'll get some time off the bench, and he may start against Peterborough next week, but if Kearney's playing well, there's no point changing a winning side. So he may have to be patient before he gets any playing time.
And Giannis, this is the advantage Fulham have right now because Fabio Carvalho, if you put him on most sides and he can't play the way he started this season, if you project outwards, I think it really hurts your side.
Yeah.
It hurt Fulham with him being out, but they find other ways. And what I like about this team is that they have so many different options. You can just let's just bring him back. Let's bring back Tom Kearney. Let's bring back Harrison Reed. Let's bring back these players. You still have Chalaba, will be coming back from an injury soon. You have so many options that even though, say, if he could end up being one of your top players, you can overcome it. They've already shown they can overcome it.
Yeah.
I think they're a better team with Fabio Carvalho. I think that's pretty obvious in a short period of time. But they can play without him. They can play without Tom Kearney. They've learned how to win without several key players. Yeah. The only one I haven't seen yet, and hopefully we don't have to see, is Mitro. So hopefully Mitro doesn't get injured. But what's interesting about that, Yancy, I even mentioned him. They have another option. We have Rodrigo Muniz now, who I actually want to see more of. I think that there's a lot of potential there. So that's what's interesting about this squad, is that there's so much depth. I heard Jamie Reed on the London Sports Show on BBC London, which I would highly recommend you listening to. And he talked about the difference being right now with this team compared to a few of the other teams in the championship is the depth. The depth is immense. That gives Fulham an advantage. If they don't play Fabio Carvalho tomorrow, for example, that's okay. You have Tom Kearney. How many teams can do that? Fulham can do that. That's an advantage they have. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend, let's move on. Let's talk about who do you think will be key players in the match tomorrow?
It's good to have. I think Harrison Reed will be good. He's going to be part of the lineup, and pairing him with Seri is going to be a great idea. I mean, Tom Kearney could be a straight matchup against Malumbi. The thing about Kearney against Forest is I really liked his passing. He looks fit. He looks hungry. He looks ready. He looks mentally right, which is great. And I think Naskins, and the other person is Naskins Cabano. And Naskins Cabano has, he's been a revelation. He was a couple of years ago, after the.
That's right.
Yeah. The goal he scored against Forest, I thought. I mean, it was really Seri that set it up. It was just superb. But Cabano's run was outrageous, and didn't dither first time shot and it's gone in, and he'll be the first to tell you he probably wants to score more goals. But Cabano's been outstanding. What he's given us, that Caballero is nowhere close to giving us. He's giving us a dribbling option with pace of someone who can score goals and distribute the ball while you're keeping an eye on, Harry Wilson on the other side, causing all his mayhem and cutting in. You've got two legitimate wing threats that fullbacks
That's right.
have absolute nightmares about. And the thing about Caballero is that if you have Caballero in there, you can just key on Wilson because Caballero is not going to cause problems.
That's right.
Bobby Reed does. Bobby Reed does, but Bobby Reed in terms of dribbling isn't as good as Cabano. Cabano's right now one of the first players I put on the team sheet. That threesome of he, Wilson, and Mitro is scary.
It's devastating.
Scary good.
Yep. No, it's all true there, Giannis. And I'm glad that you mentioned this because I think it's interesting to talk about keying on a player. If you try to take Harry Wilson out of the match, if you play someone like Cavallero, well, you can't do that with Cabano. I can also say, and again, I love the job that Denny Adoy has done. I think he's done a fabulous job, really has. But let's be honest, and I think you might have even mentioned it, the biggest loss so far from injury, I think, has been Kenny Tete more than Fabio Carvalho. Now you have Robinson on one side, Tete on the other, and you have these wingers that, again, are very attack-minded. I know that there might not be a Carvalho, but you have a very attacking-minded team going into this match that, again, I think really Where's the weakness? Where's the weakness here going forward? I mean, there's a lot of strength involved. Like I said, I would like to see Carvalho, but Tom Kearney certainly doesn't hurt you, and he's added something. And I also want to mention this because you talked about Seri and Cabano, and we talked about this on the show before. These are two players, my friend, that we weren't even discussing before the season began.
No.
You throw them into the mix. It's literally like found money, even though they're still in the squad. We weren't even talking about them. So you're just adding more depth, going back to what Jamie Reed said. Okay, my friend.
Testament to Silva, what Silva's done since coming. I mean, players who were on the outside looking in, and the confidence. I mean, Mitro's a completely different bloody animal. I mean, I was saying he's lost weight. He looks motivated. He looks valued. He looks like a player that, 15 goals in 14 games. The record is 31, 32 goals. I think he's going to smash that. He could hit 40, and I think he could hit 40 for fun because he's as Benjamin Bloom was saying, he's absolutely bang on. He's a cheat code for this division.
Absolutely.
He scores when he wants.
And I love when Ben says he calls him the cheat code. I love that.
The cheat code, yeah, he's definitely the cheat code. Yeah.
Okay, my friend, listen, we do have to wrap up the show, so let's get to it, and let's get your starting 11 and then your prediction. If you're watching live with us, feel free to share your prediction as we end the show.
Okay, so Rhodey goes in now. I don't think it's any accident that since Rhodey's come in, we're on a run. No disrespect to Gazzaniga. I just think it's a different look. Back four, Tete at right, Robinson at left back, Tosin and Ream in the middle. Midfield's going to be a 3, so 4-3-3. Seri with Reed and Tom Kearney playing in front of him. Up front will be Wilson, Mitro, and Cabana. I think that's a very strong lineup, and it's funny because Carvalho, as good as he is, if Kearney carries on playing like he did against Forest, Carvalho's going to have a weight. He's going to have to wait, and Chaloba and Josh Onama. I mean, that's a level of the depth that we've got because Kearney can just he can tear teams apart when he's fit. I know it's been really frustrating, but the quality that we've got in midfield, especially Seri right now, is playing on, I don't know what planet he's playing on. The world's just revolving around the way he's playing in the centre of the park. So that 11, I think, is going to be the strongest lineup we can put out for tomorrow.
Okay.
As for the prediction,
give me a prediction.
1-1.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we've got the better side. I think we're better coached. I think we've got a better bench. But I like West Brom, and I think this is going to be a very tough game. I think it's going to be a super game. I really do. I think they will ask questions of us. They're the best striking 3 that we've come up against this year. I think we can definitely win the battle of the midfield. I think that's where we have them for breakfast. I think our front 3 will make it difficult for their back 3, although I think they're pretty strong. But I do think their strikers will give our defenders some problems. I think it's going to be a very even contest. And Johnston is a very, very fine goalkeeper. So I think the pressure's on them. If we beat them, we go 4 points clear. If
That's
they
right.
beat us, we go 2 points behind. I think it's got all the makings of a draw. I think it'll be 1-1. I'll be delighted if we get a win.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be a draw.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to give my prediction in just a second. I'm going to share some more predictions from the Fulham supporters. Wayne says 3-1 to Fulham. Let's see what else we have. Let me just pull some of these out. Sorry, I just got to do a Goldman here as I go through this. Let's see. Tight match. Fulham 2-1. Rodak plays a big part. Ralph Leach says, like you, Giannis, 1-1. West Brom score from a long throw. That's my fear. I'm not going to discount that because that could happen. John Farrell says Fulham 2-0. Okay, Giannis. And I want to, before I give my prediction, I want to say this because you said this already. And this is not a slight on Scott Parker and Bournemouth. I think the best 2 sides, when the season ends, the 2 teams that are going to get automatic promotion are Fulham and West Brom. I believe in these 2 teams. It's not that I don't believe in what's going on with Bournemouth. They are in front. They deserve to be there. But I think when everything shakes out, when the injuries start to happen, when the weather starts to get bad, I think the two teams that are built for the long haul are the teams playing tomorrow. I could be wrong. It could be Bournemouth getting one of the automatic promotions, but I think it's going to be these two teams. Okay, I also want to share another prediction. Let's see, Combuco 2-2 or 2-1 if Tosin can hit away all the long throw-ins. Like I said, Tosin's going to be key in this match. I'm glad that, Colm, you mentioned. I totally agree with you on that. I think he's going to be very important. Okay, Giannis, with all the respect that I have for my friend Andy from New Hampshire and all of the West Brom supporters who I have a lot of respect for and the team, I'm going to go for 3-1. I don't like to go 2-1. I think that it's going to be a very difficult match, but I think Fulham are ready for this. I think they're ready to win this match. I'm going to say at home, I'm going 3-1 to Fulham. Let's see if I'm right. Okay. Great show, my friend. I know we have to wrap it up. Any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, there's a message from one of the. He was trying to. There's a bear here that was trying to get a message across. We'll just find out what he had to say. Yeah, tell me. Yeah. He says that Bournemouth are overrated. What else you got to say? I don't really. He doesn't like that Scotty Parker fella. He thinks he's full of himself. Well, I mean, there he is. I mean, Bears. You know, he's. Yeah. Are you sure about this? Oh, he doesn't like the way he left Fulham. Okay,
well, I'm with the Bear on that. I'm totally with the Bear on that.
I think. I mean, of all the teams I've seen, I agree with you. I think us and West Brom are the two better teams. Bournemouth are like watching paint dry.
It's hard, man. It's hard to watch them. Yeah. It's really hard, you know. And listen, I don't want to say that and not give full credit to the players of Bournemouth and obviously the sad situation right now with David Brooks. You know, I do have to say that. Yeah. And also Scott Parker and stuff. They deserve a lot of credit, but they're difficult to watch. They really are difficult to watch. And let's see when they really have to face adversity. Let's see what happens. I know David Brooks is adversity, and they are dealing with it, but I'm talking about in-game adversity. I'm talking about when they're down. Let's see how they deal with it. You know, Fulham, listen, they've been front runners. Let's see what happens with Bournemouth, and let's see when they really have issues that they have to deal with. Anyways, great show, my friend. We do have to wrap this up. For my co-host, Jan Shanez, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.